Now today we're looking at this guy right here. Let's get started. Now these codes deal with the EGR valve. Let's remove it from the vehicle and do a few things. Let's start by removing the harness connector. Press down on the tab, pull back on the body. And then we simply have two fasteners holding on the valve to the engine. So these are quite rusty. This is a 2010 Impreza, 180,000 miles, as many of you know. Fortunately, they did not break. Now this is a newer type EGR valve. In fact, it has 4 signals. I'll show you that in a moment. Very, very easy to test. It's not the older type that you simply use a vacuum pump to test the valve. Right away, you can hear the RPMs decrease. It's starting to, almost sounds like it's missing a little bit. This is just a different animal. On top, there's a solenoid, and you can always check the ports as well. If it's dirty, you can just clean them out with some carpet cleaner as an example, but let me show you how to test this. This is a 4-signal EGR valve. For simplistic purposes, let's look at the body here and number the prongs 1 through 6. Numbers 2 and 5, that is the signal coming from the harness connector. We are actually going to test that in a moment. But for simplistic purposes, signal 1 is number 2 and 3. Signal 2, numbers 2 and 1. The third signal is number 5 and 6. And the fourth is 5 and 4. But we want to check that we have good resistance. Very easy to do. And you simply need a digital multimeter. Very inexpensive, as always. I'll link this one below. And we want the omega symbol on the multimeter. That is for resistance. Plug in the leads that come with the meter. And I'm simply placing one lead at number 2. The other lead, make sure you guys can see this, the other lead at number 3. And we should see at least 20 ohms or more. And we have 23 ohms, and then number 2 and number 1, 23 ohms. Perfect. Again, if you don't see a reading here, this valve is bad. Let's also do the bottom one, number 5, along with number 6, 23 ohms, number 5, number 4, 23 ohms. This valve is in good shape. Now, the other thing you want to check is that you have power coming into the harness connector. So look at the harness. Again, we want number 2 and number 5. Now this is a probe kit. It makes the job really, really easy. If you don't want to invest, this is like $8, but nonetheless, if you don't have this, you don't want to buy one, you can use a paper clip, just be really, really gentle. And now we're ready to check that this is getting power. Again, if you have a wiring issue, then the EGR valve can't function. So check the wiring, super easy to do. So we have the probe. In this case, we're going to test number 2. And then after this, we'll check number 5, okay? So volts DC, black goes to ground. I have a little clamp right here on the AC compressor. Any good metal point, a fastener, also an excellent spot. We may have to change this. We'll see how we turn out. And then this is going to the red lead of the multimeter. We're going to turn on the ignition key. Come on over. Just turn on the key. Don't start the car. Just like that. We should have 12 volts. Okay, so I don't see anything. I'm guessing that's a bad ground. That's all. So let me try this. And there we go. You see that? Just need a good ground. Let me get a better ground here for you guys. And we have 12 volts. That is battery voltage. That is excellent. Now let's check number 5. So this is now number 5. And we have 12 volts. So you want to make sure, there we go, that you are getting battery voltage. So wrapping this up, if you check the valve and the harness connector, it is receiving power, but you have a trouble code I would start with the basics. Make sure, look how clean it is inside the body here. It is mint. In other words, there's not a speck of dust. And this vehicle has 180,000 miles and it's 14 years old. And it's not garage, it's just an everyday vehicle, work vehicle in a sense. It's so clean inside here. Also check the pins at the harness connector. What happens over time, people rush working on the car, too much force, and if one of these pins back out, there's your trouble code. So make sure that the pins in the harness connector are perfect. This will solve 95% of the issues. It's typically the valve, or you just have a problem at the harness connector, and keep your vehicle up and running. As always, I hope this is helpful and hope to see you next time.